Sup you beautiful people. Hope you've had a fantastic day. Welcome to the first episode of What If Naruto Was a Shinigami. While in the Forest of Death, Orochimaru seals away the Kyuubi. This, however, will lead a new power awakening within the Kyuubi container. If you guys enjoyed this what if, comment down below and let me know. And go ahead and check out other what ifs in the channel after watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So now let's start this video. He groaned, coming back into consciousness. He felt different now, though he figured that long-tongued snake freak had something to do with that. Looking around at his surroundings, he frowned. The place was a dump. It was dark, smelly, and had water that came up to his knees. On each side of him he could see doors lining the walls. He moved forward down the hall, wanting to know exactly where the hell he was. He wondered briefly if that grass genin brought him here or if the villagers had managed to catch him. He was not ignorant of the villagers' hatred of him. You see, Naruto had always been hated by everyone save a select few people. It wasn't until this year, however, that he found out why. You see, sealed within Naruto was the demon fox Kyuubi no Kitsune who attacked the village 12 years ago. The Yondaime Hokage, who was the village leader at the time, sealed Kyuubi into the baby Naruto as a means to defeat him and wished for Naruto to be seen as a hero. However, not all things worked out as planned. The people of the village all saw Naruto as the demon itself and tried to have him killed at birth. The Sandaime Hokage Sarutobi had seen this, however, and made a new S-class law. Basically, what this law said was that the events of that night would not be revealed to anyone of the younger generation under the penalty of death. While this stopped the younger generation, including Naruto, from finding out, it didn't stop the adults from passing their hatred on to the younger generation. After a while, however, the adults found ways around the laws. Since Naruto couldn't be killed by the village, they did their best to make his life hell. He was forced to wear bright orange clothes that he knew could one day get him killed. Then there was the fact he wasn't allowed in majority of the stores, and the ones that did allow him entry overcharged him greatly. This, of course, was the very reason he hid behind that mask of his. This mask was perfect, hiding anything that could lead to either pain or death. He had at first considered removing it around his team, however, seeing how they treated him, he decided against it. In reality, he was smarter than he let on, though he had nothing on Shikamaru or Sakura. While they both had book smarts, he himself had street smarts, which is how he had survived before the Hokage had found him. After walking down the halls a bit, he stopped, seeing two different halls ahead. Glancing to the one to the left, he felt something primal, powerful, but with a familiar feel to it. Glancing to the right, he felt something here as well. This one was also powerful but felt different, though. Nodding to himself, he moved down the right hallway. A few minutes of walking later, he came to the end of the hallway. In front of him stood a large door. Taking a deep breath, he stepped forward and opened it. Once inside, the door closed right behind him, though he paid it no notice. Looking ahead of himself, the blonde saw he was in a chamber of some sort. After looking around for a moment, he saw something on the walls and immediately knew what it was. The large black markings covering the walls, ceiling and floor of the room were all part of a large seal. It was what was in the center of it that caught his attention, however, for it was the design of the exact seal that was on his stomach. He was amazed when, after a moment of wishful thinking where he wondered both where he was and what the seal did, that a stack of papers appeared in front of him. Seeing this, he grinned before sitting down and grabbing the papers. Naruto had finished reading the papers for over an hour ago. He had found out he was actually inside his mind, and the reason the place looked like a dump was because of his own mental state. He'd also read up on the seal and its effects, and was pleased except for one problem. You see, the seal did everything Yondaime designed it to, however, he also found something unexpected. That being the presence of another seal called a suppression seal. This seal had apparently been sealing up or suppressing most of his own abilities. For example, he discovered his spiritual energy was all but sealed away. If you're wondering why that's a problem, well, that's because chakra is composed of both physical and spiritual energy, which is why chakra depletion can result in death. Anyway, he has more physical energy flowing than spiritual, and that basically unbalanced him, thus his horrible chakra control. Though that's not to say that his physical energy wasn't hindered as well, since it also was. He had found out that it was thus resulting in not only his short stature but his lack of speed as well as strength. Though he'd seen it was also from overeating on ramen since he was small. He quickly shook himself from his thoughts. Now was not the time for this, as he still had to complete the second exam. Standing to his feet, he quickly decided he needed to fix these problems. Well, at least as many as he could from in here, though he'd be seeing the old man after this exam was over. Real world, Haruno Sakura was tired. She had been forced to drag both of her teammates through the forest by herself and set up some traps around them. Let's not forget she had to get Naruto down from off of that tree he was pinned to. She hated this stupid exam hell. The only reason she was even taking it was because she knew Sasuke wanted to take it, and she thought it would make her look better in Sasuke's eyes if she took it. Now, however, she was wishing she hadn't. First, it was because they had to stay in this forest for 5 days, which meant she wouldn't get a bath or anything until they reached the tower. Then they were attacked by that guy Orochimaru or whatever his name was, and now this. She sighed quietly before settling into the tree she found and entering the hole. With Team 8. Team 8 was officially freaked right now. They had just witnessed that red-headed Suna shinobi Gaara as he easily killed a team of Aim Nin. All of them with the exception of Shino were shaking with fear. Though you could tell Shino was afraid by his rigid posture. They had been told that people would be killed in this part of the exam and had expected it. What they hadn't expected was to see something like that. Once the Suna Nin had gone, they each stood and after nodding to each other agreed not to cross paths with the Suna Genin. With Team 7, Sakura sighed watching her teammates. Sasuke was still doing bad, twitching every few minutes along with the fever he now had. Naruto, however, appeared to be doing better now. His pulse had calmed and his breathing was normal again. Hopefully both of them would be okay soon so they could get out of there. Naruto's mindscape. Naruto wandered through the halls of his mind, lost in thought. He had just finished examining the condition of his body and didn't like what he saw. Apparently due to the lack of Reiki, spirit energy, he'd had all his life. He'd been constantly getting a small amount of Kyuubi's chakra daily. Problem is that demons didn't have Reiki, they instead had Yuki. Though he wasn't getting enough to do damage to him, he was still getting it. However, now that he'd been cut off from Kyuubi by the Hibi team, he hasn't, thus making him weaker. Because of this, he was now wandering, well, not really wandering, just letting his instincts guide him. Anyway, that's besides the point. He was still heading towards the fur ball regardless. Once he arrived, however, he frowned heavily. All that was visible of the fox were his eyes, while the rest of his body was behind a wall. Naruto stared in the fox's eyes for a moment before glancing at the wall, with his frown deepening before looking back towards the fox once more and walking away. Kyuubi was shocked with the boy. Kyuubi had watched the boy since the fox's awakening in Wave, after which the fox had checked the boy's memory to see what he was about. Honestly, the Bija had little respect for its vessel simply because he was hiding from those measly flesh rats. However, seeing the boy walk in its domain and lock eyes with it without flinching had changed that, if only a bit. The fox could see his intentions through the boy's eyes and knew it wouldn't be long until this extra seal is released. Thinking that put a smirk on the fox's face. Hopefully the boy would keep impressing it. Real world. Sakura was in deep trouble right now. She had stayed up all night watching over her teammates. Well, actually, she had stayed up most of the night but had fallen asleep somehow. Anyway, she awoke noticing that it was already daybreak. It was then she heard the bushes shaking behind her. She tensed before grabbing a kunai, holding it in a defensive position, unknowingly shaking the whole time. Slowly she turned her head behind her only to find a squirrel eating a peanut. Soon, however, the squirrel started running closer to her. Sakura, however, was quick to throw a kunai at it, stopping it in its tracks before it turned tail and ran the opposite direction. So she noticed the explosive note on its back. Spoke the spiky black-haired Oto Genin who was hiding in the bushes. No, that's not it at all. Spoke the other male Oto Genin. This one was hunched over and resembled a mummy with the way his face was bandaged up. Huh? What do you mean? Asked the first. We'll probably find out when we get closer. Spoke the second. So let's get going. Sakura, however, was once again in a battle with her body, trying to fight the sleep she knew she needed. She was interrupted, however, when a voice spoke up behind her. Keeping guard all night? Hearing this, she quickly whipped her head around, finding the Oto Genin behind her. But it's no longer necessary. Spoke the bandaged-up Genin who was obviously the leader. Wake up, Sasuke-kun. We want to fight him. He finished. What are you talking about? What do you want? Called the pink-haired Genin, standing to her feet. I know someone named Orochimaru pulling the strings from the shadows. Continued the girl, making all the sound Nin recoil in shock. Furthermore, what is that weird mark on Sasuke-kun's neck? You did this to Sasuke-kun and now you want to fight. Finished the girl, ending her rant. I wonder what that man is thinking, said the mummy-looking Genin. But hearing that, we can't let you go, spoke the spiky-haired Genin. I'll kill this girl and also that Sasuke guy too. With that said, he stood from his perch on the rock ready to end this. He, however, was interrupted when the mummy-like Genin spoke again. Wait, Zaku, what is it? Said Zaku. The mummy genin walked forward a bit before stopping and speaking again. You're not very good. Recently turned over dirt that's a different color. Grass doesn't grow here. Sakura narrowed her eyes hearing this before the boy started speaking again. A bobby trap is pointless when noticed. Finished the genin while moving the grass. PFT stupid, said Zaku with a smirk. So that kunai was to prevent the squirrel from setting of the trap. Kill her, spoke the bandaged up genin. With that said, all three otonin jumped into the air. Sakura saw this and smirked before taking her kunai and cutting a wire next to her. The otonin looked up seeing part of a tree come swinging at them. A trap from above, thought the bandaged up genin before sticking his hand out and catching the tree piece before blowing it to pieces. Too easy, he said. Sakura saw this and was surprised. She however didn't have time to stay that way seeing the nin coming towards her. Frankly speaking, you have no talent. People like you have to work harder, said the bandaged one still in midair. Konoha Senpu, spinning leaf whirlwind, called a voice before all three sound genin were kicked away by a green blur. Said blur turned out to be none other than Rock Lee, who landed right in front of Sakura in his ready stance and a squirrel on his shoulder. You guys should also work harder, spoke Lee. Who the hell are you? Said the bandaged genin. Konoha's green beast Rock Lee, was the response to that question. Why are you here? Asked Sakura quietly. I'll always appear when you're in a pinch, was Lee's quiet response before he sat the squirrel down. And its amazing bushy brows actually said a sentence quietly and without the word youthful. There is a god, but right now I'm an enemy to you, said Sakura. I told you before, said Lee, catching her attention, that I will protect until I die. Once that was said, the mummy tossed his team's scroll to Zaku before telling him to take care of Sasuke while he killed the other two. From what I can tell, Sakura is in no condition to fight, thought Lee. That kid is advanced in taijutsu, thought the mummy while pulling up his sleeve revealing the device on his arm. This will be pretty fun. With that thought he launched forward. Sakura seeing this launched a kunai at him while Lee hit the ground. When he came up he pulled up a large tree root which had a hole blown in it a moment later. There's some trick to your attacks, right? Spoke Lee. I'm not going to just simply dodge it, since I've seen your attacks before. Finished the spandex wearing genin. But with 3 against 1 I'm at a big disadvantage, thought Lee. I'll have to risk it to crush each at full power. With Team 10, they were currently in a clearing talking while Ino was complaining. They had had a brief run-in with Hyuga Niji, last year's #1 rookie. He had dismissed them though simply because they were too weak for him to even bother with. After that they had spent some time searching for a weak team. Of course Shikamaru had known full well they were most likely the weakest team in the exam. This is what has led us to the point we're at now. She and Shika soon had their conversation interrupted by Choji, who had spoken up. Sasuke is knocked out cold, spoke the big-boned boy. This of course earned the attention of his teammates, especially Ino, who is a big-time Sasuke fangirl. Excuse me, Ino said. Sasuke is knocked out and Sakura is fighting, spoke Choji, who watching things from his spot in a tree while enjoying a bag of chips. Hearing that, both Ino and Shikamaru jumped into the tree on either side of the larger boy, only to have what he said confirmed, much to Ino's shock. With Team 7 and Lee had been unwrapping the bandages around his arms. Guy-sensei had told him about this technique when he first learned it. He had also told Lee that there was a certain time when this technique should be used. For Rock Lee, that time was now. Guy-sensei, thought Lee. I'm using the technique since now is the time for me to protect a precious person. Dosu took this time to rush towards the green-clad genin. However, just as he did, Lee vanished before reappearing in front of him, crouched low to the ground before delivering a powerful kick to the jaw, launching the sound nin into the air. Using his hand to push off the ground, Lee quickly followed him. Appearing behind his opponent, Lee quickly wrapped him up in the bandages. Once that was done, he quickly grabbed hold of him before directing them towards the ground head first. He wasn't done, however, as he started to spin at high speeds and let go once they were close to the ground with a cry of Omoto Renge, Initial Lotus. His attack, however, did not have the effect it should have. Zaku had seen what was happening and after a quick series of seals had thrown his hands into the ground. Flowing some air into it, he managed to cushion the landing for his teammate. Looks like I made it in time, said Zaku before his teammate got up. Impossible, said Lee, seeing his opponent rise. What a terrifying technique. This much damage even on a sponge of dirt, Dosu thought before standing to his feet and once more pulling up his sleeve. Now it's my turn. Just then he rushed towards Lee, who was still winded from his use of the technique. Once he reached, he quickly swung his right arm towards Lee's stomach region, making his vision swim. Your moves are certainly fast, said the Oto Genin, but ours surpassed that with the speed of sound. Now I'll show you a wall that hard work alone can do nothing against, finished Dosu. Suddenly Lee hit the ground before vomiting. Just after this he tensed as blood started to leak from his ear. He cursed inwardly before moving his arm to his left ear. There is a trick to my attack, said Dosu, holding up his right arm. Just dodging it won't help. What did he do? Thought Sakura, though she was interrupted by the mummy's laughter. Its sound, continued Dosu after his laughter subsided. You dodged my fist, but the sound attacked you. Sound, thought Lee. After some explanations from both males, Sound Nin, the mummy rushed at Sakura. Seeing this, Sasuke's Team 7's Kunoichi pulled her own kunai. Both, however, were surprised when Lee rushed forward to protect her. Once more Lee called out for his signature kick Konoha Senpu, only to freeze in pain mid-kick. Seeing this, the mummy smirked, though it was hidden, before using his left hand sending the leg back towards the ground while he himself rebounded from the ground. You surprised me a bit, he said, rushing forward. But I don't see a trace of your combo that was executed in a flash. Once he was close enough, the Oto Genin once again swung his right arm out. Only this time using both arms, Lee blocked the arm. However, this didn't stop the Oto Genin as sound waves started pouring out of his amplifier, though they were going the other way. This arm amplifies the sound that is in it to its maximum like a speaker, spoke the Oto Genin. But the sound is not limited to the direction of my hand. I can use my chakra and send it into the target. Just as he finished that, the sound changed directions and went straight to Lee's injured ear. Once this happened, Lee swayed for a second before collapsing to the ground. Now then, time to finish you off, said the mummy. Sakura, hearing this, stood to her feet before throwing a few kunai at his face. However, he simply moved his amplifier, blocking them all before looking towards them. With Team 10, they had been watching in the bushes for a while now. Choji was afraid and had already voiced his opinion on leaving this dangerous team alone. Looks like both Sasuke and Naruto are out of it, spoke Shikamaru. But even Lee is getting beaten and it's just Sakura left. What are you going to do, Ino? Finished the closet genius. His next sentence, however, made her eyes go wide. Sakura being in danger is okay with you. I mean, you two were best friends, right? That sentence there sent Ino right into her memories. She had met Sakura when she was just a shy little girl with a big forehead. They had quickly become best friends even until last year when Sakura had an even bigger forehead. But it was Sakura who cut those ties though. It was Sakura who had broken ties with her so she could chase Sasuke. But even still, what could she do to help Sakura now? Even if she helped, she'd just get beat herself. Battlefield, Sakura had once again started trying to fight back. Her first attack was simply launching a few shuriken, though Zaku quickly sent them back at her via the air holes in his hands. It was at this moment the Sound Kunoichi, who up until this point had been forgotten, had got involved. She had quickly appeared behind Sakura, who was crouched to the ground grabbing a fistful of pink locks before pulling the girl onto her ass. Your hair is glossier than mine, spoke the girl. If you have time to care for your hair, train more. Are you trying to be sexy? Asked the girl. Zaku killed that Sasuke guy in front of this bitch. That sounds good, said Zaku. Sakura, hearing this, tried to move once more. This of course resulted in her getting her hair pulled hard and putting her back down. Alright, let's do this, said Zaku, walking towards the tree Naruto and Sasuke were currently resting in. Sakura meanwhile was once again thinking about her uselessness. This time, however, it was enough to bring tears that slowly slid down her face. She was always being protected not by just her sensei but her teammates, and now even Lee. Coming out of her thoughts, she once again drew a kunai from her holster. That won't work against me, scoffed the Sound Kunoichi. What are you talking about? Spoke Sakura with a devious grin on her face that was often seen on her blonde teammate before a prank was pulled. This confused the Kunoichi above her. Sakura, however, paid it no mind and brought the kunai up before using it to cut off the section of her hair that the girl was holding on to, shocking everyone, especially Ino. The Kunoichi holding her, however, was sent to the ground due to the fact that she was actually leaning back while pulling on the girl's hair. Once she was free, Sakura stood to her feet with a look of determination on her face. She quickly started on some seals. Zaku, seeing this, called for the girlkin to take her out. She immediately went to do so, only for Sakura to turn into a log when she hit her. Zaku, seeing this, simply held his hands out in front of him. Who does she think we are? Is she seriously trying to fight me using such a basic jutsu? thought Zaku while scanning around the area. Sakura quickly appeared running for Zaku and throwing a multitude of kunai at him. Zaku once again held his hands out, sending out some air pressure while Kin jumped up. Sakura stopped, however, and once again did the seals for Kawarimi, a log, replacing her once more. This time it was filled with kunai. Zaku, however, immediately knew she was above him. Looking up, he nearly groaned seeing her once again going through those same seals. "You know that's not going to work more than 2 or 3 times, he said before digging into his own pouch. "This good enough for you." He finished, launched a few kunai of his own at her. Once he did that, he once again looked around for the girl. He was surprised, however, when blood suddenly fell onto him. Looking up, he saw Sakura still coming down with a kunai in one arm and holding another cocked back ready to stab him. Seeing this, he raised his arm just in time for her to come down. Landing on top of him, she stabbed the kunai into one of his arm while biting the other. This got various reactions from those watching. Zaku, however, reacted differently, taking his other fist and slamming it into her head, demanding her to let go. When she held on, however, he quickly delivered another and kept pounding. Sakura took it the entire time while still holding on to the kunai lodged into his arm, not that it was stopping him from hitting her though. Everyone watched as he continued to pound on her head, which was already busted open. Because of this, no one noticed the aura coming off of Sasuke, well, almost no one. Zaku, after finally prying the girl off his arm, tossed her away before standing. "Cut it out already," spoke Zaku. "I have to protect everyone," thought Sakura sitting up. Zaku, seeing the defiant look in her eyes, once again held his hands out, palms aimed towards her. "Dumb bitch," spoke Zaku. It was then that Team 10 appeared in front of Sakura, though they literally had to drag Choji by his scarf while Shikamaru did. "So some more weird ones are here now," spoke Zaku. Sasuke's mind. He looked around himself, not knowing where the hell he was. Soon, however, he was able to make out a person in front of him. Someone who was in fact a younger Sasuke. "Otusan and Okasan didn't have to die," spoke the young Sasuke. Once he said that, Sasuke himself saw the visions of his dead parents, one lying on top of the other. "Everyone was killed. Because I didn't have enough power, the clan was wiped out," finished the young boy before looking up, looking eyes with his older self. Real world. The Sound Genin were getting truly annoyed. They were all tired of this game and ready to finish this. "They just keep swarming in," said the mummy. "Konoha bugs have wandered in here again." "What the hell are you two thinking?" said Choji. "These guys are too dangerous." Choji, like Shikamaru, knew they were a weak team. Anyone could tell. Firstly, they had the laziest jounin in Konoha as a sensei. Second, they never trained. Shikamaru either looked at clouds or played shugi with Asuma. He himself was always eating while watching clouds or watching his sensei and teammate play shugi. And Ino only fawned over Sasuke or talked about beating Sakura. To top that off, they all only knew one technique. Shikamaru was too lazy to learn new ones. Ino was too busy being a fangirl to learn new ones. And he himself was always too busy eating. He was broken out of his thoughts hearing Shikamaru speaking. "It's troublesome, but we have to do this. Since Ino revealed herself, we men can't just run away. Sorry to get you two involved," spoke Ino. "But we are a 3-man team. We do everything together." "Well, whatever happens, happens," said Shika. "No, I don't want to die yet," cried Choji, turning and trying to run for it. "You can run if you want," said Zaku. "Fatty, what did that person just say?" asked Choji, who had stopped moving completely. "I couldn't hear him too well." "I said you can go jack off in the woods if you want, you fat ass," said Zaku. This, however, resulted in Choji doing a complete 180. Turning around, Choji's chakra poured out, forming a tornado around him while he roared about not being fat but big-boned. Once everything was settled, they got to work. Choji had quickly done his seals before going into his Baika no Jutsu, double weight technique, making him twice his size. Following this, he pulled his limbs inside his clothes with chakra coming out the holes for each one, including his head, before he curled up, turning himself into a ball. Then, with a cry of meat, Tank rolled himself towards Zaku. "What is that?" "Is just a fat ass rolling," said Zaku before once again thrusting his arms out, this time with a cry of Zankuha, air slicing blast, launching a blast of air at the rolling ball of flesh. After a few moments of the air holding him in place, Zaku put more effort into the attack. What happened, however, surprised him as Choji went up into the air before falling back towards him. The mummy, seeing this, quickly rushed towards his teammate. Shikamaru, however, saw him move and was having none of it. He quickly made his seals before calling out, Ninpo, Kageme no Jutsu, Shadow Copy Technique. His shadow shot out and connected to his target, stopping the sound Nin in his tracks. It was at this time Choji came crashing down, narrowly missing Zaku, who had jumped to the side. Ino, seeing it was her turn, decided to take care of Kin. Telling Shikamaru to take care of her body, she made her seals and called out, Ninpo, Shintenshin no Jutsu. Her attack connected and she quickly took control of the girl's body. Choji, however, still wasn't done and had kept up his attack. Zaku jumped to the side of another pass. Knowing this, Choji began to circle him. Looking over and seeing Kin doing nothing, he called out to her. Kin, however, she didn't respond. Instead, she pulled out a kunai and held it upwards before speaking. This is it, she spoke. If you move this girl, Kin is dead. If you don't want to retire here, I suggest you leave your scroll and get out of here. Once you two back off enough so we can't feel your chakra, I'll let the girl go, she finished. This, however, got different results than she expected, as both boys smirked. She quickly called for Choji, who immediately came down. Zaku, however, had already raised his arm and pointed it straight towards the possessed girl before firing a blast of wind at her. Choji raced to intercept it but was blown away, while the possessed Kin was blasted into a tree. Ino, who was now bleeding from the mouth with both her body and Kin's, was shocked they'd attacked their own teammate. You took us too lightly, spoke Zaku. Our purpose is not some dumb scroll or to get through this exam, said the mummy to the surprise of Team 10. It's Sasuke-kun, he finished. It was then that Shikamaru's shadow retracted, freeing the mummy like Genin. Just as they were about to attack and finish it, however, a new voice spoke up. How disgusting. Looking up, everyone saw it was Hyuga Niji, who spoke with his teammate Tenten next to him. A mere minor sound shinobi, acting like victors by beating those second-class shinobi, he finished. You guys keep coming out like roaches, said Zaku. That bobbed-haired kid is on our team, started Niji before his Byakugan activated. Looks like you went overboard with him, he finished, making everyone's eyes go wide. If you're going to continue to fight, then we will fight with everything we have, said Niji. Just then his Byakugan deactivated. What is it, Niji? asked Tenten. If you don't like what we're doing, then stop showing off and come down here, said the mummy. No. It seems that there is no need for me to do that, said Niji. That's when everyone felt it. Turning, they all saw Sasuke, who was getting to his feet with purple chakra pouring off of him, Sharingan activated and black lines moving across his body. Sakura, who did that to you? Spoke Sasuke from inside of the purple chakra. Sasuke-kun, your body, stammered Sakura. After glancing at his body for a moment, Sasuke spoke up. It's fine. More importantly, I can feel power pouring out of me. I'm feeling good right now, Sakura said. Who the hell hurt you like that? Said Sasuke. I did, spoke Zaku, earning the red-eyed boy's attention. Shikamaru, knowing the danger, quickly called Ino back to her body, as well as called for Choji to come back. Neither needed to be told twice and quickly did as told. During this time, the lines covering half of the Uchiha's body started to move over to the other half as he turned himself towards Dosu. Knowing the danger of the curse seal, he quickly tried to retreat. Zaku, however, who had no knowledge of them, was having none of it and quickly spoke up. Dosu, don't be afraid of some half-dead guy, he said, moving to attack, much to Dosu's protest. I'll kill them all with this. It will be finished in a flash. With that, he thrust his hands out, sending a huge air blast where Team 7 was gathered. The attack blew apart anything that wasn't rooted to its spot. When it died down, he smirked, not seeing anyone from Team 7. I blew them all to pieces, said Zaku, breathing heavily. Blew who to pieces? Came Sasuke's voice from next to him before he was viciously backhanded by the Uchiha and launched right over to Dosu. He's fast, said Dosu. On top of that, he moved them away while moving instantly. Sasuke took this opportunity and made a few quick seals, launching his attack with a cry of Katon Hausenka, Fire Element, Phoenix Fire, sending several small fireballs towards Zaku. Seeing this, Zaku made one more air blast but was unprepared for the shuriken that were hidden in them. It was then that the Uchiha appeared under Zaku. He quickly got around him before grabbing both of his arms and planting his foot into the boy's back. No one missed the smile that came to his face at that moment. You seem proud of your arms, spoke the Uchiha, applying more pressure to said limbs. He then proceeded to viciously break the boy's arms while he screamed out in pain. With that done, he turned towards Dosu. You better entertain me better than he did, spoke the Uchiha while walking forward. Sakura snapped out of her thoughts and was about to go and stop him when he was stopped. Everyone looked towards him and was surprised to see Naruto up. Sasuke looked over and saw him. He was standing with his back towards Dosu, holding Sasuke by his left arm with his head down and hair hiding his eyes. Naruto had awoken when he first felt the boy's aura change. He had been waiting to see what would happen and had seen enough. "Let me go, dope," said the Uchiha. "Wait," Naruto said it quietly so only Sasuke could hear it. When the Uchiha tried moving forward again, he was surprised when the grip only tightened. "I said wait," spoke the blonde, looking at him out the corner of his eye. Sasuke recoiled at the sight. He never seen eyes so cold in his life. It was for this reason that he decided to see what he would do. Turning towards Dosu, he looked up, locking eyes with the boy before speaking. "You have two choices, either give up your scroll and leave or die," said the blonde, shocking everyone before he continued. "And just so you know, I have no intention of wasting my time with you. Though I would let Sasuke here finish what he started." He finished, earning a smirk from the Uchiha. Dosu wasted no time in surrendering his scroll before grabbing his teammates and getting the hell out of there. Once they were out of sight, Naruto released Sasuke and walked over before sitting with his back to a tree, breathing heavily. With the rush of battle over, Sasuke himself fell right on his butt, the markings covering him receding. Sakura, seeing this, immediately rushed over to him. It was thanks to Naruto's enhanced hearing he was able to hear Sasuke tell Sakura not to tell him how the Uchiha got the mark on his neck. Choji and Shikamaru moved over to Naruto, while Ino went to fix up Sakura. Tenten and Neji picked up Lee and left then. "You alright, Naruto?" asked Choji. "Not really. I'm still not completely healed. That took a lot out of me," replied the blonde. "Well, that's what you get, troublesome blonde," said Shikamaru, earning a smirk from Naruto. Shikamaru was one of the few who knew that Naruto was holding back. Not that he was told, he had just happened to see the blonde while he was training once. It was at this time he saw the blonde could do anything required for a shinobi except for make a bunshin. It was then he figured out that Naruto had been purposely failing, though he didn't say anything that would be too troublesome. Finally, after Ino was done fixing up Sakura's hair, they each headed out their separate ways. Sasuke looked towards Naruto only to find that his eyes had changed back to the normal happy eyes he usually saw. Seeing this, he just played it off as a trick off his imagination and forgot about it. "Listen, we're short on time. I suggest we head straight towards the tower and take out anyone in the way," said Naruto, getting nods from the Uchiha who he was speaking to. With that, they put on a little more speed and headed that way. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you want the next part of this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on the bell notification. And also check out other videos that I have created and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.